Hey gang, Mark Sweeney here from Austin Dental Spa in beautiful Austin, Texas. If you've tuned in before, you already know a little bit about this. We go over some of the most cutting edge research in medical and dental and sometimes just overall health. Today's going to be no different. Today is different in that this is the last Wednesday in September. And as you know, if you've tuned in before, we always have a theme every month. This month it was Ready, Sept, Go, except today it should more be Ready, Sept, Pour, because we're going to talk about that wonderful favorite drink in the mornings for millions of Americans, coffee, and how coffee can actually enhance your lifestyle and lower your risk of heart disease. So anyway, next week we'll introduce the new theme for October. But if you've also tuned in before, you've probably caught the K team here, Krista and Kirsten. They've been with me over a year now. They've been wonderful additions to Austin Dental Spa. They have progressed through the ranks way more quickly than I would have ever thought. And if you haven't been in since they've been here and you haven't met them, you're in for a real treat when you're here. So I encourage you to come in and meet them if you haven't already. So we're going to get on to the big topic of the day, and then I'll explain to you where the black eye and the cut on the forehead came from at the end when I give my health tip. So Krista, why don't you introduce to us what we're going to talk about with this coffee study?
We're talking about coffee and caffeine related to cardiovascular health. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm a huge coffee lover, so I was a little worried about this study. But there's some good news, so stay tuned. So a research article came out from Suzhou University in China, finding that consuming moderate amount of coffee,
1 to 3 cups,
is associated with lowering the risk of cardiovascular disease, which is incredible. And what cardiovascular disease is defined as here in this article is coronary heart disease, stroke, or type 2 diabetes. In fact, one of the lead authors of the study said coffee and caffeine consumption may play an important protective role in almost all phases of preventing against cardiovascular disease.
Wow, that's pretty incredible stuff. Yeah. So tell us more about the study, Kirsten.
So the details of the study, there was data from the UK Biobank of about 180,000 people. So that's pretty good.
So that was a Chinese university, but they used a United Kingdom, a British database of 180,000 people, and they covered them over longer than 20 years. So a pretty significant group.
So what they observed is that those involved did not have cardiometabolic diseases at the outset, the diseases that Krista just went over. So the database info included self-reported caffeine consumption through coffee or tea. So we're talking about tea too, so just caffeine in general, and the diseases they developed through their primary care data, hospital records, and also death certificates as well. So the caffeine consumption reduced the risks of the cardiovascular diseases.
Ding, ding, ding. How much?
40.7 to 48.1% for those who drank between 1 to 3 cups, compared to those who drank less than 1 cup a day. So Krista, you're good because she drinks like 4 to 5 cups a day. So she's in the clear.
They found 1 to 3 cups of coffee a day reduced your risk of cardiovascular disease by almost 50%, 47.8%. Amazing.
Yep, amazing, yeah. So that was just the main results that these findings add to the growing evidence that caffeine consumption may enhance cardiovascular health.
Now, with a sample size of 180,000 people followed over that long a period of time, it gets people's attention. We can't say, there's a couple of caveats here. You can't say, oh, if you drink more coffee, you're not going to have a heart attack, because they didn't take into account comorbidities like, is this an obese person who doesn't exercise at all? They didn't take into account, is it a person who exercises a lot? They didn't take into account other sources of caffeine like the Jolt sodas and all the sports drinks and stuff like that are also loaded with sugar and amino acids and all this other stuff. We're looking at coffee, but pretty impressive results, and this is brand new information. So it is worth pondering, and I think, like a lot of our Wisdom Wednesday topics, you're going to hear more about this in the mainstream media in the coming week or two. So be prepared. You heard it here first. So we're on to the health tip for the week, and then I'll get to this. Krista and Kirsten, what is the healthiest color of smoothies?
Green!
Right on, green. Why? Because green means it has either spinach or kale, and they are loaded with antioxidants, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, some of them, and so depends on the amount. But most of my healthy runners or smoothie drinkers, they throw in spinach or kale and they grind it up. Almost all of them put some kind of fruit in. In fact, we've got a juice land right over across the parking lot, and I went through a period there where I was trying to force myself once a week to get a green goddess smoothie because it didn't have kale. It had spinach in it, and spinach tastes, to me, much better than kale. And then they poured in apple juice and chia seeds, whatever those are, and all kinds of other really good stuff just by itself. And you can, of course, at Juiceland add other stuff to it. But just the Green Goddess as is was a great drink, and at least I felt like I was getting healthier by drinking it. So avail yourself. Stop and get a smoothie at Juiceland and make sure it's the Green Goddess or some offshoot of it, and it could just make you healthier, just like having a cup of coffee in the morning and a green smoothie in the afternoon. Now, I can't get by without telling you a little bit about this. My 42-pound part pit bull ran in front of me on Sunday night when he was going out for his walk, and took my feet out from under me, and I did a face plant with my forehead into the floor in my condo, and floor 1, mark 0. So now, just overnight, I've started getting the black eye. It started out up here, but careful out there if you're walking pets, because they don't always go. He zigged when I thought he was going to zag. So be careful out there, and we'll see you next week for another version of Wisdom Wednesday.